My name is Judge Sharron Sauls, and you spell Sharron S-H-A-R-R-O-N, and Sauls is spelled S-A-U-L-S. I am the judge at the Kyrene Precinct that encompasses Guadalupe, Ahwatukee, and a portion of Tempe, and some portions of Gila River as well. Okay. My role in the eviction process is to adjudicate the cases that come before me between an owner, landlord, and a tenant. It is also my responsibility to ensure that both sides have an opportunity to provide the information in regards to the argument that they're putting before us.
So they're both heard?
So that they are both heard.
Okay.
Well, believe it or not, I want to share something that I consider a positive. COVID has changed the eviction process by bringing more tenants into the court. And what I mean by that is we have virtual hearings at this time. In the past, we didn't get a very high number of tenants coming in to argue their point or to fight for themselves, if you will. But now that we're holding eviction cases virtually, we have a much higher percentage of tenants coming in. And how that's positive, how that becomes a positive thing is tenants are learning more about their rights. They're getting information on financial resources. They're being pointed to the Maricopa County website, and they're getting to learn from the other tenants that may be on that virtual court hearing as well. I feel that landlords and their attorneys are more willing to work with tenants. And I know some folks don't feel that way, but sometimes, or more than what we've seen in the past, a landlord may get a judgment on a tenant, but they're not requesting from me to sign a writ for several weeks down the road. The law requires that a writ or allows a writ to be served up to, after 5 days of receiving that judgment. I'm seeing landlords request those writs a week, 2 weeks later, and even up to 45 days. And after that point, then we get more involved with a motion to allow that eviction to go through in 45 days, after 45 days. The most important thing that a person should know about an eviction is that everything should be in writing. It is very difficult for a judge to make a decision, whether it be in your favor or the other party's favor, if you have no proof for us. So just like you carry on in your personal life, keep documentation. If you make an agreement, say with a landlord, and they've said something like you can make a partial payment, say, hey, landlord, get that in writing. Please date this and please put your signature on it and give me the time frame in which this new contract or this agreement ends. Same thing with the landlords. If a tenant says, I will have the rent money on this particular date, it is in your best interest to get that in writing as well. And I say stress the documentation, because if I sign a judgment and my constable comes out to serve that writ, and you feel that you're protected under COVID or the governor's executive order, you must show my constable documentation so that he can say, yes, you're absolutely right, you have a right to remain in this unit. If you don't have that documentation, that eviction will very likely occur that day, at that moment. One thing that I think is working is you're getting judges who are more in tune to the law. You have judges who are more in tune to the plight of society. And we're learning constantly, because as you know, things are changing. So I think that's a positive. You don't have judges at this point who aren't sure, don't really know what's going on. They are fully engaged at this point. What I would change about this process is the egregious effect that it's had on families' lives. We are seeing people who have several children who's rendered homeless. We see people who have cancer or who are recovering from cancer. We have people who they may be evicted, but they know that they're going to receive the money in a week or so, but perhaps the landlord isn't willing to wait. So it's really the serious and heartbreaking effects that it's had on families' lives. So I think it's important for us to understand that it's just not people who don't want to participate or who don't want to pay their rent. Tenants want to pay their rent, they just don't have the ability to do so today. At the end of an eviction docket, I feel exhausted. I feel emotionally drained because I had the responsibility of following the law, but I know that I'm evicting families, good people, hardworking people who were hardworking prior to this. So as a judge, you want to leave, once you take the robe off, you hope that you've left everything else there. But I can honestly tell you, I go home quite often thinking about that particular person, that particular situation that I can't change. So it's helped me to grow. It's helped me to want to give more to society. And I know as a judge, we're to sit on the bench and make a decision, but not really do much more. But I can assure you that I'm doing more outside of the robe since I'm seeing the carnage, if you will.